Palm Springs Public Arts Commission, Thursday, October 10th. Let's have a roll call.
Commissioner Hawley?
Here.
Commissioner Arterberry?
Present.
Commissioner Hostrop? Commissioner Heller?
Here.
Commissioner Wick?
Here.
Chair Cohen?
Here?
And Vice Chair Weekend is not here. Haven't heard from her.
She's probably on her way.
Oh, she's going to be late. Yeah, she had a meeting. Sorry.
You all got the agenda from the last meeting. I hope you've had a chance to read it. It was from the July meeting, since there was no August meeting. Any comments or information on the minutes? It has been posted.
The agenda was posted at City Hall on October 3rd.
Comments? Exceptions? Call for approval?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Now we go to public comments. Public? This is if you're not on the actual agenda. Anybody public? All private people. Okay, we will close public comments and now move on to legislative action. Let's take the second item first, because I don't think everybody is here for the first one, and that is an art in lieu presentation for a new project called Sunrise Place. Could you step forward and be sure and push the button?
Okay.
I already did, I think.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Lundeen, and I'm here today to speak on behalf of the forthcoming Sunrise Place Shopping Center, which will be at the intersection of Sunrise and Ramon in Palm Springs. As you all are undoubtedly aware, it's a very important intersection within the city of Palm Springs for a number of reasons, one of which it's actually on an Indian section, and it's also one of the more heavily traveled intersections within the city. Currently, there's a new project that's been designed and approved, and it's ready to enter into construction. And it's really a fantastic display of a sort of a type of architecture which is similar to the Palm Springs modernist style of architecture. It's much more, I guess, contemporary and a little different than the definite historic period of modernism, which would be, from a certain point to a certain point, and which would include architects such as Frey, Neutra, Williams, and Cody. And the wonderful architecture was chosen on. It took some time to get to this point in which the developers were able to find an architect that was able to clearly represent the project in a way that worked with the city. And Jim Chofie is the man that they chose to do that. And he's done an excellent job with some of the, designs of the buildings. And maybe we should put out this other one. Here's some renderings of some of the other structures. Like we have the Ralphs here and the Save-On, a Carl's Jr. and a Starbucks. And sort of the idea was, in me coming into this, as in talking with the developers, is possibly working on a public art piece. A lot of we thought of some different ideas. We thought of maybe taking existing photographs of modernist works, somehow incorporating them into the new shopping center. We thought of sculptures or things such as that, displaying them publicly. Something that would be permanent, and it would be like an addition or sort of an extension of the architecture for the project as well as the project itself. All the while, maintaining it as like a shopping center, a place where like the community comes together and, it's a basic marketplace, where services are used and goods are sold and such. And the idea that we came to is there's actually one portion of the current existing, soon-to-be demolished Albert Frey Shopping Center, which is going to be incorporated into the newer center. and that's the Portico Share. And that's going to be out on the corner of the shopping center. And it's in several of these renderings in which, you could see it. It's an actual like overhang sort of canopy design. And that's really like the last remaining, in some ways it's a tribute like to that sort of, Albert Frey architecture. And then it also like definitely serves a purpose in the new shopping center because it's a walkway under which people can traverse and, come through and adjoining different shops, buildings. So,
Section is the salvage or the,
yeah, the salvaged, I
Or
guess, or,
the portico share, the exact portico share from the Freight Center
Ah.
out there will be integrated here.
Oh, good.
sure. And then, and that being the idea too of like, this sort of historical tribute of thinking, of Albert Frey being the architect of the currently existing shopping center and the fact that that's going to be incorporated into the new center. And then the idea being maybe to, on top of that, just as sort of like a tribute and a nice accentuation of this development and the fantastic new architecture as well as the, older architecture, is to create, a sort of outdoor gallery, some paintings that would be displayed within the planters. They would actually be like sort of either columns or display cases that would be placed within the planters so people could access around them. They wouldn't be in the way or, necessarily like in the way of people's shopping experience or people, passing by. But then they would also be images of rather not so much like, the key, I'm not a modernism expert by any means, but images of a variety of forms of modernist architecture, like things such as residential structures, public properties, commercial properties. And the idea is to sort of, pick a group of different architects, like Stuart Williams, Cody Frey, and I've actually been in contact with Scott Kennedy, who's right back here, who's a member of the Palm Springs Modern Committee, and actually, entering into a selection process of some different structures that would be of interest to sort of show a nice variety and just a really nice feel of modernism. And the idea is because the new shopping center is going to be like, nice, exciting colors and a nice new sort of architectural look, yet touching on like, that sort of historic modernist feel, and being done by a local architect, Jim Chofie, who's been in the city for a number of years. The idea was maybe to do like paintings in color and plein air paintings, which would, show not just the architecture, but also the emphasis of the modernist architecture, whereas the architecture is within the landscape, like the conforming aspects of the buildings and then their natural surroundings, which is, to me, as not a resident of Palm Springs, a fantastic thing about Palm Springs is the, just the landscapes, anything from the lower tramway station and the rocky, rugged terrain up there that station sits in to, some of the residential structures where they're, nicely manicured grass is placed around them. So to create some plein air paintings that would go into these display cases and pretty much, just try to accentuate what's already taking place there. And basically, like the idea is just to try to incorporate all these facets together. The historical architecture, and the current contemporary architectural style, and then sort of a design in which it could all be arranged sort of cohesively, and that being sort of the focal point of this project, and just to do it in a real, just a nice way in which. These images would, not like obviously they're not going to overshadow these fantastic buildings that people used to shop in and such, but just like a nice sort of courtyard feel that would be, something that looks back a little bit to the past and the history of which, the architecture comes from, and then also sort of maybe opens up the other idea of like, that if people come through and see some of these, they say, hey, wow, I didn't know where that image was or that structure is. And, I'd like to see it. And some of these structures is chosen as well, or maybe not things that might show up on all the maps, like all of the tramway gas station or something like that. But they would be images that you would, maybe a little bit off the beaten path. Oh, wow, I didn't know that house was there, for the untrained eye or the sort of modernist fan or tourist that might come through. So basically, like I've created an image in which it'll show like how these would be displayed within these planters and underneath the portico share. And then I've also brought with me several marker renderings of sort of some of the proposed images, which range from the Elvis honeymoon house, which is more of an Alexander product, to, as I mentioned, the Frey tramway station. And what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and pass around these. I have a booklet for everybody, and as I've been sort of going on and on, I'll make sure that everybody gets one of these. And all these images are within this booklet, and as well as the proposal and just sort of a brief discussion of what this project is sort of aiming for and what it consists of and such. And so I think that that's pretty much the idea. And in terms of a number, the number selected was tentatively it's 8 images. There would be 4 display cases in which each side of the display case would have a painting on them. So it'd be one on each side, and that's sort of the what the tentative image size was. One of the things is the portico share is quite long. It's I'll pass out a couple of these brochures as well. I don't know if I have enough to get around, but within the brochures it'll show sort of the dimensions of. It's listed as a breezeway, but it's probably about I would say 100 feet long. So being that length, if there were to put paintings in, it would be a nice like even display to have them like some footing between them, and that they'd be sort of sporadically set. And I guess if we have the developer here as well for the project, and we also have Scott Kennedy's joined us also. If they have any input or would like to say anything, do you guys have anything to say at this time? Or?
Yeah, I'd like to
Okay.
proceed for a moment.
Sure. Yeah.
Pass these around. Thanks. Good afternoon, Commission. I'm Scott Kennedy. I'm a board member with the Palm Springs Modern Committee. I just have a few off the top of my head thoughts to say here today. I started quite the adversarial relationship with the developer, wanting desperately to save the Albert Frey Center. I know everyone has their own opinion about what that corner looks like or what that corner could look like with the original structure. But I fought diligently to try and save it. But I'm glad to have seen us evolved to today and to have some compromises in place and to have such a tribute to modernism. I've been a Palm Springs resident almost 13 years now and moved here largely for my love of the architecture and of the modern architecture. And the last 4 or 5 years, it's just been crazy what I've seen going on in my Alexander neighborhood and the appreciation that's coming about with modern architecture. I'm really, I'm very happy to hear that the original portico share is going to be restored and integrated into the new project. I think having this art exhibit under that portico share is, they just go hand in hand. It's would be great to have this original structure shading this tribute to a modernist architecture here in Palm Springs. I think it's colorful, it's vibrant, it brings it into today. I'm an enormous fan of Julia Schulman black and white photographs of a lot of these structures when they were originally built, but seeing them brought to life with color and the vibrancy in this artwork, I think would help draw the eye of people who are into modernism and some people who would see the exhibit and that aren't so much into modernism. And that's also goes into my thinking of two major benefits that would come with this exhibit is it is a tribute to the people who appreciate the architecture, and to people who aren't familiar with it, it introduces them to it. And it's in a great location. Having it spaced throughout the porte cochere would encourage a good pedestrian movement through that area and transition from point A to point B. I guess that's pretty much sums up my comments today. Thank you.
Thank you. May we ask questions?
Sure.
Question team?
Are these paintings going to be permanent?
Excuse me, permanent paintings or?
Yes, are, in the display cases,
Sure.
are they going to be?
No. You're not hitting the middle.
There, yeah. I want to know, are these going to be permanent? The
Sure.
paintings are going, you're not going to change them?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. What's essentially being proposed is I've had some experience in public art, like I've done some murals and such. And one of the things that I've noticed in doing public art pieces is that, you know, there's the issue of sort of vandalism potential, or, you know, damage to the artwork, or, you know, someone could, like, you know, break the plexiglass or something like that for some unknown reason, or damage the actual painting. So one of the ideas that I've discussed with the developer is to actually paint the paintings, but then create a glissé print, like, which would actually be a very accurate reproduction to the best of, you know, possible, you know, reproduction purposes. You know, so basically to take a digital photo and then do these prints, and then to, as well, like when those prints are made, to have like a backup set made, or maybe like, you know, at least have it on file, so that way those paintings, it wouldn't be the original paintings actually on the street, but it would be like, you know, I guess a limited, you know, edition, like set, like specifically for that, set aside with backup, so that if, you know, heaven knows, I mean, in today's world, you know, I mean, I don't think most people would break through a display case and damage an artwork, but the idea being that, you know, that you would have that backup or as such, just in case. And unlike a mural where, you know, you're probably putting yourself a little bit more in harm's way potentially, or a sculpture where it could be broken, but then there's some positives there with murals and sculptures too, is that sculptures, they're pretty hard to break most oftentimes, especially if it's a bronze cast. And a mural, you can put different coatings over the painting. So I think that we sort of discussed that pretty in-depthly, and it was one of the really chief concerns of the developers, Lundin Development, and just you know, that being one of the main issues.
I noticed in here there are 6 renderings. Are there 2 others?
Yeah, actually, one of the renderings in here is a conceptual rendering of the site, and then 5 of them are the actual proposed paintings, and there would be 3 more. At this time, Scott and I have, Scott's been real helpful in terms of, like, you know, driving the area, and we talked quite a bit about some of the different sites and different architects. And there's a couple of architects that haven't been presented or represented yet, and I'm sure the committee is probably very aware of that. Namely, Wexler. We're looking at possibly doing, you know, a steel home, or maybe a couple of steel homes. Image of something such as that, and the Idris House, by Williams. You know, in looking at Williams architecture, that's one. It's a smaller home. It's pretty fantastic. They've been doing some work on that apparently. Like, they have a new pool in place, and it's real nice. That seems to be like a real nice residential structure. And then there's one other one that sort of is escaping me at the moment, but
Kaufman House?
actually Neutro we were thinking about the Kaufman House, and that was something that came up, because I know the Kaufman House is just such a fantastic structure, and the idea is that there is one other Neutra in Palm Springs, and in the Miller House. So that's in terms of Neutra, that was sort of the idea, was to maybe show the other Neutra, like, sort of a shift, and that's sort of the idea of the hidden modernism, maybe, that some of them are visible, like such as the Spa Casino, very, well known, and maybe even, very, very well known, and then the Miller House, like, which is maybe a little, off the path, but just, I think it's just a fantastic structure, and then, just the way the mountains are behind it, and the way it sits in that location, I think, is real nice. So that's sort of, but then within the group, two of them are by Frey, which, one being the existing center in its condition now, and then the other one being the lower tramway station.
Michael?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I think the one that might be slipping your mind was the Ship of the Desert.
Yes, that's an excellent point. Thanks, Scott.
That's just been refurbished.
And that was another issue too. And see, Scott, really being in the know on this, was able to help me in terms of which structures were being, like, either work's been done on them, like the Miller House has had some work done to it, as well as the Idris House. And then, yes, the Ship of the Desert. That's actually been a newer selection, because one of the other architects that was out there was Lautner. Lautner is, I grew up in Los Angeles County, so needless to say, the Bob's Big Boy at Toluca Lake, or, his coffee shops. I mean, and his work is fantastic. But I think that I didn't really want to enter into the Bob Hope House, or maybe the some of the other Lautner structures. There didn't seem to be a lot of them, so the idea of the Ship of the Desert came up, and being newly refurbished and sort of, hidden, back in that neighborhood. And I think that's really a fantastic structure. So that's sort of where.
Are you going to do any Cody?
Cody?
William Cody, yes.
Well, Cody, the representation for Cody was the Spa Hotel. And I know that I don't think he was the
What
only
about
architect.
the church?
The church?
Yeah.
Um,
Cody did the
St. Teresa's?
St. Teresa's.
At this point, haven't really considered that as an idea. I don't know that I'm aware of the church off the top of my head, but
It's on Ramon Road, almost in the corner of Sunrise.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, right on the corner.
On the north side of the street.
Okay, so right at that intersection.
Well,
then.
Well,
it's
it's up.
enormous. It takes
It's,
like a city block. Or
Okay, great.
it's a beautiful, beautiful structure.
Okay, well, I'll definitely take a look at it.
Can you define one thing for us? The building that the Porte Cochere is attached to, we saw an aerial view of what those building, what are they? There's some structures.
This is the building,
You can sit down and talk.
Yeah, that, in the corner, there's two buildings there.
this building
Yeah,
on the
that one and
corner,
the other one.
and then the Porte Cochere comes through here, and then this building. This building is best pictured by this view, looking at it from the intersection across.
Uh-huh, I
Something
see.
about like so.
And what is it? Is it leased?
No, it's not. We have some very significant interest. It's, in terms of shop spaces in the center, it's probably the best located space in the center, because it's a fishbowl that sits out right on the street. And you can notice how Trophy articulated with a lot of glass panels in here, so that we see an open display. One tenant we thought would be very good for it, but it hasn't gelled, was the City Walk idea with the display kitchen, and they were very interested in. But it's something of that type is how we envision. It may not be a restaurant use, but it could be.
Krispy
That type.
Kreme.
And, yeah, and the other building?
And then the other building, which would be this area on the other side of Porte Cochere, is best shown by this. This rendering elevation is looking at it from the backside, coming back
Right.
from Ralph's across this patio area with this, this wall and this storefront is really following this area around. So you
Mhm.
see, you get a visual on this and so forth of the patio. And
That's also up for grabs?
that also is, yes. We have, our leasing, the way these things get tenanted, typically in a shopping center, from our experience, and we've been doing it a while, we don't do our primary leasing of our shop spaces until we're actually under construction. When a tenant can visualize and actually go and see and touch this structure, or see approximately the space within the complex, they really don't get terribly interested. Although we do have a commitment from Starbucks in here,
How
and
unique.
then, Save-On and Ralph's, and we have a Carl's Jr. at this location. And we do have some other spaces, like we're relocating from the old center, a tenant from there into this project, came with the deal. So, but as you can see, these are fairly special spaces within the complex. We feel that way, I'm sure everyone will, including all the customers and people of the city, because of their great exposure to the major intersection. Mike mentioned that this is an Indian section, and it's a corner of an Indian section 14, which is a very special section because it also has, I believe, the Spa Hotel and so forth on it. This is the southeasterly corner of that section. Because it is section 14, again, it has a special, different issue that we haven't really covered much with regard to this art. But we're planning to do an Indian statement in here too, a special kind of an Indian statement that we would like to also integrate or make compatible, not only with the architecture, but also with Mike's presentation here for the art in public places. So you all may have some ideas too on that. We'll be back, maybe not before you, but at least before Tom Davis and the Agua Calientes on what we do there. We have some ideas there. I'm working with Mr. Potencio, Patrick Potencio, and he's given us some good ideas. And, so I think that'll be quite exciting too. And again, like I say, compatible
Pedro,
with
yeah.
what we're achieving here.
We may have an idea for you.
Good,
Yes.
thank you.
Just-
Yeah, it's something that's already been designed, so whether or not it can be incorporated, we've been looking for a place for it.
Oh, good. Well, thank you.
I have a question. Where will the originals of these paintings be? These are only going to be copies out there in the display. Where are the originals going to be kept?
Sure, that's a really good question. At this point, I haven't given it like extensive thought because the focus has really been on the project itself. So they would probably be kept somewhere.
You can keep them in a gallery somewhere or whatever.
Yeah, like in a specific place, I guess, just in case, like, something was to happen to the prints and then the backup prints and then the digital file. It'd be good to, like, at least try to keep them together. That is sort of the idea that I was thinking, like, not to break them up and, have one in one state and one another, you know what I mean? Something like that. So,
Well, will the development own the originals? Who's going to own the originals?
Good question. I don't.
that's a really good question. I mean,
Artist?
yeah, at this point, I guess it would be within the artist's hands, the originals, maybe for the purpose of, as any additional prints would need to be made for the project, like that they would have the authority, like me myself, maybe to redo that or something as to that effect.
Do you have a place?
Don't we have something in our bylaws that, Diane, that?
Well, we don't, on the developer art in lieu pieces anymore, they don't have to give them over to the city anymore. They are owned by the developer, but it would be up to the developer whether they kept
Yeah.
them or not really the artist. We
Yeah.
do have some questions on this, so what we normally do on something like this is create a subcommittee to study the proposal, since we just have got it today, and come up with questions, because I think we're gonna wanna know how the cases are designed specifically,
Sure.
with Giclées being out there and outside in the
Exactly.
air. They're not probably
Yeah.
gonna last very long.
We're doing
They
some
fade
giclées
so
at the
tremendously.
airport, and we're concerned about those. and
Sure,
inside.
There's a mural on the wall where the Blimpie restaurant used to be that's done on a 3M material that's been outside that's lasted, 6 or 7 years.
7 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you may not want to print them on, you may have to do some special material that you print them on that will
Sure.
last a
The
long
sun
time.
is so
Or like a
damaging.
UV protected glass maybe or
Well,
something
this,
like that.
and I don't think this has ever been graffitied, not that I've ever seen.
No, it isn't.
Well, one of the advantages about that, and I know the elements is pretty, I know that the heat can be very strong, and then there's also like a wind factor as well. One of the issues there was, the fact that it will be covered, most of the time, like by the portico share, is an advantage of sorts. Although there might be a few pieces that, because of just, geography might be more susceptible to, I guess, the, direct sunlight, on a certain day. Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
So,
you
yeah,
know it.
yeah.
Even us.
Yeah.
It would be
Well,
nice, I think we should do a subcommittee on this, but,
Okay.
and please don't be afraid of that, because we're pretty fast with things like this. It's not
Sure.
like tabling the motion and we'll get back to you in 4 or 5 centuries. It isn't that at
No.
all.
What's your timeline on when you
Yeah.
need to know?
As far as I understand, the shopping center should be up middle of next year. So something along the lines of coinciding with the completion of the shopping center is the goal. The idea that, so mid 203. Really the idea being these shopping centers do take time. However, I think it would be most beneficial to have the artwork up like as the shopping center opens or something. If possible, it seems like the most logical and the best, most advantageous.
You've got a
situation.
great opportunity for an unveiling.
Sure,
Yes.
exactly,
You-
that
you
too.
can- You can open, I'm sure the modernist group would love to have that attention called.
Sure, absolutely, and that's something that brings up a real good point. Is the idea that I know that there's been such an interest in this whole resurgence of modernism and modernist architecture, and I know even with this site, with the fact that Albert Frey had to design the grocery store that's going to be demolished and this new structure is going to be built. I think that drawing more attention to the Palm Springs modernism and some other sites or select sites is definitely an advantage for that, for the committee and such and the community.
You were talking about the originals. It'd be interesting if you could prevail upon someone, whether it's the museum. I came to that modernist thing, I think it was a couple years ago, when they had the Speaking in the Annenberg.
Yeah.
And Stu Williams was there, his daughter spoke, and so on, his granddaughter, I mean. And it'd be interesting if the museum could do something like they do with the Julius's things.
Sure.
And so you have a double reference, you have a double hit, so that would cause people to want to go see the original and the places and then the museum. So it's good for us too, because it really promotes
Sure.
tourism.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what's that I've found, as I mentioned, I grew up in LA County, and that's, a unique place in and of itself. But the more and more that I've come out to Palm Springs, I mean, it's really, very, it's an amazing place in that this type of architecture, it's not something you see like in another place somewhere on the globe. I mean, this is a very unique
Not in this depth.
form. Yeah, and that it's it's maintained and people are redoing it every day, it seems, of late. So I think it's something that would be, it would be beneficial for the community.
Well, this is certainly unusual to have a display case with paintings outside. So
Yes. it-
Sure.
We
yeah.
really need to figure out how this is going to last and work.
Because we have problems with our Chihuly cases at the airport,
Sure.
which is
A controlled,
semi-exposed,
yeah.
because the fresh air comes in through the tents, and we're having to redesign those and reseal them in a better way than they are now, because they attract, you're going to be lighting them, I'm sure.
Sure, yes.
And that
I mean,
attracts all kinds of things flying around the desert, and plus the sand and everything else. So it's not easy when they're out in the public like that. Diane's idea about checking that one mural out would be very, very,
Okay,
might be
Because
very
we know the
beneficial.
source for that. We know how to get a hold of that, the manufacturer of that too.
okay. Yeah, that sounds great.
But the project sounds wonderful. I mean,
Does.
And it's so nice to see something finally happening at that corner.
Sure.
Yes.
It really is.
Yeah.
Now, I really have to comment on the design of the center. This is really spectacular. I saw your first efforts. And I lived through everything you've done by watching the council meetings and the commission meetings, and this is very exciting, and I just really wish you well.
Thank you, we appreciate your time.
One quick question, the second from the top on the left-hand side, that is unreal. Where is that?
This one,
Yeah,
interesting, it's this building, it's the north building,
wow,
and looking at it, basically that.
terrific,
angle.
terrific.
And it balances, in one sense, what Jim was trying to do, Jim Chioffi, you don't know him, right?
Mhm.
Trying to do was to balance this with the Save-On statement over on the other side facing Ramon, which is this area. So we have this statement on
Perfect.
Ramon, and this strong statement right up on, very close to Sunrise. Yeah, it's very special.
It's so refreshing to see modernism saluted like this, instead of Monterey Colonial for a change.
It's kind of a rare departure, isn't it? from
Yes.
What
It's lovely.
the newer projects have been.
It speaks so much of the city and what the city, is part of the city's past
Yeah,
and
it was,
current.
it's been a learning process for us, as Mike has indicated, albeit it's been a bit of a struggle, but we're very pleased with the fact that the good things maybe take a little longer, and we've been blessed to have the various inputs from you all at city, and particularly Mr. Chioffi's experience. He has 40 years or more experience in the city of Palm Springs. And and he's a very good design architect, so when he thought about it a while and the idea started marinating and so forth, he was able to come up with this with other input from people like Scott and his associates with the Palm Springs Water Committee in a cooperative effort. So we thank a lot of people.
Thank you. Other questions?
Don't think so.
We need a committee. Tracy, would you might be interested?
Sure, Leo. I'd be
Thanks.
glad to be on that committee.
Why
Subcommittee.
don't you chair it? And we need 2 more volunteers,
Well,
Leona,
Leona and the architect.
Yes.
perfect.
Perfect. We'll need a report by this evening at 8.
You can have that, Leo.
Michael, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you having us here today. Thanks. Okay, let me make sure.
I have these.
Did you get a chance to pass these around to everyone, or did they?
I guess I could, sure. Sure. No,
We can leave these here a
we
while.
also have some better prints. These are higher quality prints.
No, you mean for
Yeah,
a few minutes, an hour or so, or?
that's on
And we can
tonight's
pass these around if you'd
discussion.
like to.
Yeah, that would be
Or
great.
maybe you can just pass them around in,
Sure, yeah. These are
Pass
higher
some
quality
this way,
prints
and
as
then some the
well.
other way.
They're in here, right?
Yeah, but those are a little bit higher quality ones.
The modern group has a lot of input into what these final selections are going to be.
Yeah. Well,
Well, particularly
well,
Scott.
Scott has.
Yeah, and I was involved as well in securing residential properties for him to do and things
Yeah.
like that. We wanted permission from the homeowners.
Is this Stu Williams' house? What is this?
That's actually the Miller House.
Oh, that's the Miller house.
Waitress Miller House, yeah. I don't know if you know, but it was just designated a Class 1 historic site a few weeks ago. Catherine's been working her, you-know-what off, getting that place restored, and he's done a great job.
Terrific.
This is Starbucks building. That's good. Starbucks is quite a jewel box building.
This will be a nice tribute to the spa.
And
Oh, yes. But that might be good for Pedro. Leona? Leona? Pedro. For the corner.
Carl's Jr. building, which is seen from the street over here.
We need to come back together, guys. Mrs. Holly? Thanks, baby. This reminds me of Oh, here's Susie. We wondered where you were. Did you think it was at 2 o'clock? We're an hour earlier this week. Don't worry about it. We went by you and we're going to come back. Are you ready? Thank you again. We'll move back now to item number 1, and that's the Palm Springs Street Sculpture Bench Project. And Susie Cohn is here. We can share this.
Are you ready for me?
Madam Painter.
We're always ready for you. Oh, you're such sweethearts. Thank you. Is this on?
If the little green light is on,
Okay. Too loud?
they're new speakers.
Okay, just warn me. First of all, I want to thank all of you for everything you did all summer. I know summer is so tough to help us through this arduous process of making it to City Council. We couldn't have done it without you. You're just amazing. Diane, thank you for your patience through the 2 weeks of being sick and not returning your phone calls. I was kind of under the weather the last couple of weeks. So I'm back and happy to be with you, you wonderful people. We have 8 bench designs here today. There were, I believe, Robert, 50? How many were submitted? 27. Do you all know Robert Menifee? Well, he's with me today. He owns galleries. He's a wonderful art expert, and he is on the committee that actually brought these designs to you.
Back up a little.
Thank you. Keep bugging me if I do that.
No, it's a their new system, so it's very.
Anyhow, I'm on the. As you requested, I'm your liaison. Robert is on the committee that went through the 50-some designs before they reached you, so you didn't have to look at 50-some icky designs, and brought you 8 today. So if you have any questions about the artists, about the designs, and why they brought these particular designs to you, he's the one to answer your questions, because I am not on that committee. Once again, I wanted to thank you all, and then answer any questions, or bring Robert up to answer any questions or discuss it with you.
What does it mean, airport bench?
We just got the artist request for proposals yesterday, and we noticed that it did say there was going to be a bench at the airport, which I think is a new, we weren't aware of that. And I don't know that the airport knows about it either.
Perhaps.
We thought it was all going to
do
be
you know about
downtown.
It's written on here, that's why it piqued our interest.
Maybe it was an idea by the artist.
Well, it's also on the,
It's on here, right? Where is it?
Or maybe someone at the airport.
Such as, and in front of high-profile destinations such as the airport and the Desert Museum. Well, I don't think that's where it's been fine-tuned to. It's just the downtown corridor, right?
It might have just,
Okay.
yeah, it might have just been an idea
Okay.
that the artist had.
well, no, I mean, it's on your submission thing. It's on the request or the call for artists, that's why.
I think we'll just have to work on the details of that when we work on the
Right.
agreement of where the placements actually
Right,
are. So we won't go by
exactly.
placements for this, just designs.
Right.
Okay.
Have you had a chance to look through, guys? Any specific ones that you want to ask about? Questions?
I have a question. On reviewing the artwork, is it a preference on our likes or dislikes that we like, if we approve them? Or are we looking at it as a complete program? In other
Well-
words, if I find a couple of them that I think could be a little bit more embellished, do I give feedback? Yeah, I need a little guidance on that.
I think we're
part.
gonna deal with each individual bench and make recommendations, yet approve each bench on an individual basis.
We can't
Individual
really
basis.
look at it as a whole because we're only looking at 8.
Okay.
And there's 2 that exist, so that's 10. And what's your total, 30?
It's up to 30. We will not, if we don't get 30 that we all find acceptable, there will not be 30 benches.
Yeah, I have also another little question. This is kind of a unique thing, so I need a little more guidance on that. As of last night, Huzo, who's our namesake artist at my gallery, has agreed to do images on a bench. Of course, he just got into town this afternoon, so filling out any of the papers. The problem that we do have is that he's here for 1 month. We have an artist reception on the 2nd of November, and he would like to have, we're doing a fundraiser benefit for Save a Pet. So we kind of wanted to get the bench done before then. Now, each one of these designs has to be approved by the Public Arts Commission, but we only meet
And
once
the
a
planning,
month.
and the planning commission.
And the Planning Commission.
And the agreement has not been drawn up yet and has not gone to city council to actually officially approve the project yet.
Excuse me, I think it's I don't think it's the planning commission, it's just Public Arts Commission.
No, I was told by
And
that it
through
was-
the city managers, and through the arts.
The planning commission wrote me a letter yesterday saying they want to see it, so. They have to approve any piece that goes out in the public for, as far as scale, size, and location. We approve the designs, but they still have to see it.
Uh-huh.
That's not by choice. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Yeah. And it also has to go through, no, it doesn't have to go through city council. The city manager's office is administratively responsible for it. They turned it over to city manager's office. But it has to go through Desert Arts Academy, but I don't see that as being a problem.
That wouldn't be a problem. But the status of this project right now is that the project has not been,
It has been approved, and
it has been approved.
And it has been turned over to the city manager's office for.
It has been approved at a study session. They gave the nod to go ahead with it, but we don't have an agreement drawn up yet or signed or any specific location selected and liability insurance, all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
That
okay.
agreement has to go to city council
All
and
right,
has
so
to be
then I don't really
approved.
have to worry about that part, because it doesn't look like, I mean, it could be a lengthy time.
It could be, but maybe something can be worked out with you, so I don't know. We have
Okay.
to
Yeah.
see.
Well, then I'll just wait and hold off on
Yeah.
that whole thing.
Yeah, you may be able to go to city manager's office and see if you could work something out.
Okay.
Suzie, the 8 that you have here are the results of submissions of 50?
Yes,
So
over
it's the old
50.
expression, where do we go from here? If you're going, are you just going to have 10? Or you're going to
We're
continue?
still accepting submissions.
Are you publicizing that, or?
Yes,
So this is an ongoing thing, and you'll just,
right.
and
And we're also soliciting from artists of a certain level. Some of the artists on these benches are quite well-known outside of Palm Springs. They live here, but they're well-known outside of Palm Springs, or they have businesses here. So we're looking for a certain caliber of artist, and many of these submissions are that caliber of artist,
and
most of them.
just a quick question, you still intend for the children of the academy
Of
to
course.
complete it and get credit for it?
Yes, and they don't necessarily have to be academy children. We're talking about children in the schools who would benefit from participating. But we actually have 5% of all the elementary school children enrolled at this time in the after-school program, in the academy after-school program. And I don't have the number yet in in Ramon Academy and the middle school program. But I know that it's significant. But I did know that as of a couple weeks ago, we already had 5% of the kids enrolled.
So I think our goal today is to look at these 8 submissions and decide on an individual basis the merit or the acceptance of each one, and to
Yeah.
stand alone, because you don't know where you're going to put these yet. That hasn't been determined.
Right. I think they're pretty amazing. I mean, sometimes I've seen, excuse me, I've seen, for example, a chair that was done in the black and white one. You may not be able to see from that what that looks like from the submission, but I've seen a chair that artist has done that's a blow-you-away thing, where it's actually been put on a piece of, a sitting thing. And so you may not have a sense of what it's going to look when you sit on it or put it on a bench, but it's fabulous.
Now, all
So,
of these designs, are they just strictly painted? They're all done with paint?
Yes.
Because I know in the request it says that the benches may be expanded in any directions and which
No,
that cannot be.
no, it cannot
Okay,
be.
it
You're
has to
correct.
strictly be paint, no
It's all
texture, no.
paint. No, it's
Okay.
all paint.
One of them says faux stone, so I was wondering the same thing.
Yeah, see,
No. Will
Will
that's a
that be
problem.
done?
None of these are.
But that's just like painting though, right? I mean,
That's
like
just the feature.
trompe
Yeah.
l'oeil,
I
trompe
believe
l'oeil,
that all of
okay.
them are done with paint. Because the bench is such an interesting shape that you can really do a lot with paint with them. It's turned out that the bench is a fabulous shape.
So anything that we've approved today will still be subject to any conditions that come up in the agreement.
Of
So,
course,
I mean,
yes.
hopefully, there won't be any changes, but just in
Right.
case, it'll just be.
Right, yeah. And basically, as I said, if you want to hear from Robert on how they made the decision on narrowing it to these 8, I'm sure he'll be glad to answer any questions you have. But
we
I
number
was
them?
really impressed with these, and
Do you have names or anything?
You know, good
and these
idea.
are copies that we've made, but
We
actually the
need to
copies
number
are a little.
them. We need to number them or names or something, because we don't really have a way to say which, what we're.
Okay. I actually got these copies last night, and we've made the copies today.
Let's
so-
start with this and make that number 1, Another Day in Palm Springs. Number 2 is
What has a name? Okay,
Another Day in Paradise.
that's the one with the sun.
The Sun and the Moon, and the second one will be the Desertscape.
Wait.
This one is number 2?
Desertscape,
Okay.
And the third one is Fish in the Desert.
Fish?
That's Elizabeth.
Oh, here.
That's Elizabeth, that's
Three.
Soren, that's
It's Fish with Susie on
that's
top.
Stevenson,
That's neat.
right?
Is that
Is
3?
that Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Miro is next.
Wait. Hold it up for me.
This one.
That's
Um,
4?
Oh, so, why don't you read-
No, this one.
I have a strong feeling that this one's probably going to be in front of Las Casuelas.
Somehow it seems that way, doesn't it? That's 5?
That's number 5.
Okay.
Number 6 is the homage to Miro.
That's number 6.
6 is this.
I don't have 5. Which one was 5 again?
Number 7 is, that has a number 4 on it, but let's call it number 7,
Which one?
the Aminals.
7.
I don't know, they're playing, so they must be deer and antelope. And the last one are the snakes.
Were the other ones just bad? No, they were not bad.
These are just gooder.
We just felt this, why don't you come use my microphone and say, you say, because I was not there.
We had a submission of more than 57
Pull up a chair.
designs. We kept them anonymous, more than one artist might submit another design, so we have picked from these 8 to submit to you. Number 1, to get the ball rolling, and number 2, whilst we're working on sponsorships and things for these benches, we thought this represented a wonderful cross-section of the type of designs that were submitted, and also the variety that can be done on a public bench. hence the wide selection.
Um,
So no, all the submissions have been, at present have been gone through. The dates have been extended, and we have more to submit later. We've also sent some back asking for slight changes.
Um,
What are the dates being moved to?
They're open.
For placement?
No, I don't know about that.
Oh, for placement, the dates are still the same.
Do you want to address each one as we go through? And if you have any comments on these, like why you chose it, I mean, like the first one's rather obvious, but if there's any specific, like, why was this chosen and not something else? Any comments on Another Day in Paradise?
I think it's great.
I like it a lot.
Do you need a motion on each one?
Yes.
Do you need a motion on each? I'll make a motion to approve number one.
A second.
We're gonna have that many motions? We'll just do one blanket?
No.
No, because they're
No.
not approved
Oh. Comments on the first one?
Wait a minute, I need who did the motion? again?
I did.
Tracy and Lori. Comments on this? It seems to have unanimous. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 2, The Second Day in Paradise. What does it mean, sand on the back, on the page
I think that's
two?
a color.
That's the color.
Yeah.
It's supposed to represent sand.
I hope so. Do we have a motion for this, and then we can discuss it?
I move we approve number 2.
Beth? Comments?
I like the color on the back, a little stronger than on the front. Maybe that's just the way it was picked up by the computer, I don't know.
Indeed.
The color on the back is
The color on
really
the back.
terrific, and this a little washed out, so, but maybe it's the
In
computer.
the original, it's not, and certainly
Okay.
on the finished
I
picture, will
know.
not.
I thought maybe it was showing different times of day.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
This is also a copy of a copy
Of
that
a
we made,
copy.
of a copy that we did on our computer.
We only
this
work from
morning.
Giclée, so you'll have to. Vote on this one, please. Any other comments? All in favor of
Aye.
number 2? Aye. Number 3 is Susie on the fish.
Make a motion to approve.
You're bad.
I second it.
Comments?
I like it.
It's cute, it's whimsical.
It is.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 3?
4.
Yeah, number 4. I rather like this one even.
I think it's great whimsy. I like it.
Now
I
we'll
make a
go on
motion to approve.
I second.
Okay, this is a night at AA.
Is that number 4, Heller? 4. Heller who?
Comments? It's,
It's not my favorite, but I like it. It does add variety to the mix.
Yeah. Oh, I think so,
and
too.
add color and, I think it'd be great to have that in there.
I did too.
yeah,
So I like it.
I like it a lot. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 4 is passed. Homage to Rick's service.
Motion to approve.
I second.
Comments?
Is he sponsoring this?
We hope.
He's crazy if he doesn't.
Not the margarita glass.
And then put it in front of Taqueria.
Yes.
Um,
A lot of controversy about the champagne glass.
All in favor of, wait.
Hold on.
Got a comment?
Okay, I have a question. There was a lot of controversy on that champagne glass in the convention center, wasn't there, in that mural?
It wasn't because of the champagne glass. It was because of what was in the glass.
Yes. That was it.
She didn't have no clothes on.
Oh.
I don't want the kids, I don't know. The margarita glass, I think it's cute. I don't know. Is it, that's what you go to Las Casuelas for, I realize.
I haven't found the margarita glass.
In the middle.
in the front and the
too,
back.
yeah.
Actually, it's going
I
to
thought
three of them.
they look like drums.
Oh, I,
They do
I
look
thought
like
they were
drums.
drums.
Are they drums or are they?
I think they are drums.
Well, they have such.
Well, as of now, they're drums.
They are.
Are they drums?
No,
Well, I think, one of the things that makes it,
You know what?
Forget
They're
it.
going to be sitting, they're going to be on the seat. You're not even going to see them from the street.
yeah. And that's their friends named Marge and Rita.
Okay.
That's right.
But something, the fact that they are that
Okay.
color, I think, would distract from the fact that they are actual margaritas, so it doesn't look like it's encouraging drinking or anything like that. I think it's like, that's the way it is. It's adorable.
Yeah, it's cute.
I understand what you're saying now. All in favor of number 5? Well, we have a motion.
Oh,
Yeah,
We did 5? Okay.
We didn't
What?
vote.
No, 5 is,
We didn't vote on
I didn't think
five.
so. All in favor of number 5?
Aye.
aye.
Opposed? Number 6. This is my least favorite.
Didn't I? I don't like 6, 7, and 8.
Can you give us a little insight on this one?
Robert, tell us
Actually,
about it.
I don't know the artist. It's,
Is it? Go ahead.
it was one of our favorites, actually. Again, the reduction in design takes away a little bit from it, but it's terribly colorful, lively, the white contrasting with the colors which are not shown beautifully here. If there's any question about this, I really urge you to let us give you a better rendering. It is one of the most popular amongst us, just because it pops out so greatly and is so different, and also with a white background. We debated over it, and decided it would look really, really good in the right setting, on a good bench.
So the bench will be painted white first.
The bench is painted white first with a
That'll be
really
fun.
artistic design of color that is not quite bright enough here and not quite mid-century enough here. But yes, it's white first.
So it'll be like the architecture of Palm
Might be
Springs.
really
Correct.
And then you can suspend a calder right above it.
And an anemone ram behind it, so
I think they're both gone.
You like it?
indeed. No, in fact, I must say this about the last 3. Hearing some comments, they're the least favorite, but they are not reproduced well here. Susie already mentioned, what number is this one? That we're going to discuss, but these just don't do it justice.
Well, this one I think looks good. This one you can't tell unless you
Exactly.
see that chair.
And indeed, this one, the rendering is spectacular. It's even better than some of the cave paintings that we've seen around town. The texture, I mean, you can't tell from this. The texture is superb. It's sandy, it's deep. It's just wonderful. So,
See-
in reproduction, they don't look as good.
Let's do this one.
Right.
I like this one.
Good.
I like it.
And
I'll
so
second.
I'm
It's one of
gonna
my
move
favorites.
that I'll make the motion.
I second
Unless
it.
there's a strong objection, like it's offensive, or could we put a couple of margarita glasses? Do I have a motion?
We
Beth
moved.
did. Harry seconded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Done. Use very good white paint, one that doesn't attract any dirt whatsoever. And now, the Neanderthals.
Are we making comments?
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you. I second it.
Beautiful sort of cave painting antelope colors and sand colors and this really, really deep yellow like Harrison's shirt. But just texture, 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 and the African animals.
Elans.
Really a good one. And again, we thought it's just a great contrast to yet another margarita seat.
Yeah.
Well,
See, I
yeah.
agree.
And it's certainly something you'd never see in the desert. Mermaids and cave paintings.
So I think the interesting part of this project will be the diversity of the artwork.
I agree.
So I certainly,
It's refreshing in a way that not everything speaks of, well, we live in Palm Springs and let's cram this down your throat. Some of them are very much a reflection of the city, and others have nothing to do with it. And I think, that's art. It'd be like going to the museum, not liking an Arneson because he's from San Francisco.
As long as this definitely is a Trump loyal faux stone and not really texture.
No, yeah, it's all paint, every bit of it.
Do we have a motion?
I think we moved in
Tracy,
second
and we
already.
didn't get the
Oh.
vote yet, though.
You just say it automatically.
Just buzzing right along.
Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And now the Amish to Susie, her favorite. This is very strong black and white, right?
Yeah, the reason I mentioned it is because this rendering does not show what it's gonna look like, and I have seen a chair done by this artist next to this drawing, and I thought, what is this drawing, when I saw the drawing? And then I saw the actual piece of furniture, and it's amazing. So, that's why I mentioned it first, just because you can't see it. I mean, if I could have brought the chair with me today to show you, I would have.
Is it representational in any way? I'm just curious, or is it just design?
It's design. It's design.
See, I know that this is design and but it reminds
Of
me
a
of
snake.
dominoes and a snake.
Snake, yeah.
And I like it, and I'm sure that it'll just totally dazzle you with the contrast between the black and the white.
Especially if the black is glossy.
Tracy,
I think it is, isn't it?
we need a motion.
I'll move to accept.
I'll second it.
Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Painless.
That's it.
We need the next 8 tomorrow morning.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
Before they take off?
Thank you all again for all your wonderful help.
I wanted to make
and,
a quick comment before you
yes.
run out of here. Since you kept repeating, oh, you should see the original rendering or the original chair or whatever, maybe next time you come in, you could bring the originals. You can have these for our reference, but if you could have the better quality.
I thought you were bringing.
Yeah,
those.
that's-
That'd
Diane
really
said
be
that too.
helpful.
I will try my best. Sometimes, I will try my best to, bring in the originals, but I also want each of you to have a copy.
Oh, no,
so-
we
Yeah,
like
oh,
that.
Yeah, we like
We
that.
appreciate that very much.
So, I'll try my best to get that for you next time.
And
give it back.
at the very outset, we'd like to wish you all good luck.
Yes.
Truly. It can be a very exciting project. You might get your husband to get involved in it. if He's in town.
Oh, he's a good guy, you know that.
Thank you.
He's actually the reason that we get all these good copies, because he's the computer guy, you know.
Everyone have copies?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Thanks again. I'm sorry we were late. We just didn't get word.
It's
Mm,
okay,
it was
we're
fine.
fine.
Bye-bye, Del.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Okey dokey. The sculpture loan for the convention center, is this our friend?
Actually, I don't know if any of you have noticed, the sculpture that was there is gone now, because
Oh.
the year was up, and so the artist took the sculpture away. And the gallery was going to send me some pictures of something to replace it, and I didn't get them yet, so we'll have to postpone that to another meeting. But they are willing to offer us another piece for loan as long as the convention center is standing, so.
I thought they were going to give us a piece when they first put that
They
one
had talked
up.
about it, but actually the gallery is not representing that artist anymore,
Oh.
so
Okay. Oh,
I
so
think-
then the actual gallery is thinking of lending us?
another piece.
Okay.
And it's actually a piece that was at the show last February, and it's a kinetic piece, a moving piece, and Jim Dunn even remembered which one it is, and I don't right offhand.
It was in that first aisle, yeah, over on the right.
So as soon as we get pictures, we can consider maybe taking a loan of another piece, which why would we not want to?
It works good for them also.
Yeah,
I mean, it's nice. Good.
So that will be continued till I get actual photographs of it.
Okey-dokes. Next on the agenda is the commissioner tour of the city. Are any of you going on the bus tour? Good. If you haven't been, it's really interesting. This is not as lengthy a one, and maybe not quite as detailed as some of the others we've been on, but we will get to see the skateboard park and a couple of other things that I think will be of great interest. Does anybody plan to come tonight to the council cabinet meeting? This was one of the reasons why we tied this together, so if you wanted to also attend the meeting tonight,
Watch you on TV.
please. I hope you have a white screen. So we're, those who are coming, I believe we're meeting here. I'm not sure which parking lot, but I think it's this one.
It's probably the one in front.
Yeah. At 3:30, yes. The west parking lot. So that would be the one at the other end of the building at 3:30. And then we'll be back and there'll be refreshments, light refreshments served when we get back at 5 o'clock. Cabinet, when is cabinet meeting? 7. So that gives everybody a chance to have something before they go. Okay, next is the Chihuly Art Project.
That's
Diane?
on council agenda for next Wednesday to approve the option to purchase the second two pieces. And we need to get back going on fundraising. We still have about 16,000 to fundraise for that, so, in the installment payments of actually purchasing the piece, that will give us about 5 months to fundraise before the final payments due. So I think that's plenty of time to come up with that money. So the subcommittee needs to get working again, thinking about what we can do to raise the money.
Here we go.
Letter writing campaign or whatever it would be, just, we're almost there, so.
It's amazingly close, and we've promised the city and the city manager that we will absolutely raise this last group. We have the $5,000 kick-in, which will come to us when we hit 145,000. So instead of having to raise 21,000, we only have to raise about 16. So we will have the subcommittee meeting. You can expect a phone call from the sub-chairman. I know him very well, and I want to get it taken care of as soon as possible. We'll skip the next one. That wasn't supposed to be on the agenda, and go to the dog park expansion.
That is complete, in case anyone hadn't noticed. Phil was here all week,
It's
finished it
terrific.
up. And they will be replacing the sod and taking the grass out from underneath the fence, so, and realigning the sprinkler system. And then the park will be closed, starting Monday, I think, for overseeding, and won't be open again until about November 10th or 11th, something like that.
And amazing, under $5,000.
And it was so cute because people who just used the park were there helping Phil. They were painting and priming and just volunteers. It was great.
He's been such a wonderful source for us, I mean, from the very outset.
And he's got another idea. You know, he put all those little spikes on the top of the cactus. He wanted to put flags or banners or something up there. Well, he wants to do a proposal to come back to us to put some bones up there that would rotate in the wind. Wouldn't that be cute? And he might even have a way of lighting them from the inside too. So we may have something else to consider in the next few months. Yeah.
Wonderful, sounds terrific.
He's also got a kinetic piece that you can sit in and the wind will kind of blow you around, that he travels around with, and he's willing to bring to us if we would like to do a fundraiser using that piece. He said it's a lot of fun to ride in it. So
Terrific.
that's something we could consider
That's the way
too.
we're gonna raise our.
Yeah, well, at the dog park for the Chihuly.
Yeah.
At the expense of a different artist. That's a great idea. If we can pull that one off, we're really terrific.
And the Press Enterprise was there for a couple of hours interviewing him while he was working. So keep your eye out. There should be a big article about all the dog parks in Southern California. I thought it would be last week, but I haven't seen it yet, or this week.
We should be very proud of this.
So we'll get a nice feature
Yes.
story in there about
I
that.
think it would be really nice if our public information officer would do some photos and a big story and send it off to Vanity Fair and Newsweek and some of the national magazines. You know, they really like to write about Palm Springs, and that is the most unique dog
It
park,
sure
I think, in
is.
the whole country.
Mhm.
And it surely would be worth a story.
Public information officer, did you hear that?
Do we have? But if they had photos and a story and it's really clever.
That's a good idea.
And something about the artist and.
And talk to some of the enthusiasts that use it,
Yes,
because, I mean,
uh-huh.
they are really,
I think it would be a real national
Rabid
story that
fans.
would be of interest. We need to read something good once in a while. Read all this
But I'd
other
like,
stuff.
I'd like to make a comment, though, about our information officer. She did get it on KMIR about our map, and a really nice cover.
And that's why we got the Desert Sun article too, because of that.
Yes, so
Nice
we're
article.
we're really pleased about that. So I compliment her. What's her name?
Lee Hoosfeld.
Okay, Thank you.
Thank you, Lee Husfeld. Let's move on to PSPS. Who's our sub on that? Do you have anything to report?
I can give you the dates.
Oh, good.
Artwork we're gonna be sending mailings out this month sometime, when we get a minute. Artwork is going to be due Wednesday, January 8th, typically between 10 and 12:30. We will judge it the next day, which is our regular January 9th meeting. We will just spend all day judging the artwork. And we will start hanging it on Friday, and then the show will officially open on Monday, January 13th, and run through Thursday, February 27th. The awards reception will be Thursday, January 30th, from 5 to 7.
I
was that
expect
date?
a large turnout this time. People have been asking about this.
Can we get a copy?
It is, but some of the people, last year's winner said, I've already painted 3 for the show. Yes, Jerry, Enrique.
I think
Um,
we decided that we were going to send the same brochure out, and we just had to change dates.
Right.
At the last meeting, isn't it?
Who's the sub on this?
I
I think
and
Am I on it
you
with
are.
you?
Lori.
and Lori.
we were going to adjust the time of the awards or something we said.
Earlier.
We were gonna actually give a specific time on the
On the
invitation, so people
invitation, when the
we'll say
awards
the
would be
awards will be
given.
at 6 o'clock instead of
Yeah. okay.
whenever, yeah.
We lost a lot of people before the awards were given
Yes,
last
we
year.
did last
Plus,
year.
people didn't know when the awards would be
Right.
handed out, so they just wandered away.
We will set a specific time on the
And
invitation.
have we talked to caterers or us?
Well, you just tell me the amount of money and the number of people, and I'll just drive over and pick it up.
$100,000.
That was good last year, that was great.
It was terrific.
Well, didn't we have a little too much food?
What?
Did we have too much?
think we've ever had too much food at the
Oh, because it just
It
seemed to
always
be like
goes.
awful lot of food.
No.
Even if there is too much, it will get eaten
Oh, okay.
the next day.
Yeah, it's never been a problem.
No way.
Any questions on the art show? We're leaving the categories the same. A lot of effort went into that.
Oh, well, the subcommittee needs to work on lighting. Are you not on the subcommittee now, Tracy? I thought you were.
Who's our lighting consultant?
So he's just,
That's right, yeah.
of possibly maybe something temporary for each.
A contract usually infers that there has to be something given in order to receive. So could we change the wording to just outside consultants
Yes,
gratis?
there will be no money involved.
Then it's not a contract.
Because this is coming up sooner than you think,
Yeah.
really.
Oh, you know what, Tracy, I'll take you, if you have a few minutes after this meeting, I'll take you out and show you where we hang the paintings, and then you can get a general idea, because we can't have a meeting with the 4 of us, because then we'd have to have it open. So.
Yeah, right through the hallway.
Yeah, so I'll just show you as we leave today.
Okay, let's move on to one of the nicest things that's happened in recent memory, the Historic Arts and Public Art Map.
Well, why are you looking at me?
Well, I didn't know if you'd like to discuss the amounts and where we distributed.
We ordered 30,000 of them. We have distributed already 10,000. And it's so
Marking
popular
another
that
10,000.
hotels in other cities like Rancho Mirage and Indian Wells are asking for copies of them. And we're just happy to give them out because that just means people from other cities are going to come here and see our artwork and our historic sites.
And who's going to pay for the next 30,000?
Well, that's what we're going to bring up
That's
tonight.
on the agenda this evening. I'm going to be asking that,
If
as a
it's
matter of
become
fact.
such a popular economic development and tourism tool, then maybe we could get some help from some other sources to order
Because
the
we
next.
can't raise money to print.
No, we
like
can't. We
ra-
cannot
raised the
ask the
money
same
for
people
that.
to pay again just
See, we
because.
raised the money for that. We sold
We sold,
all those spaces for $200
we sold the photographs. And with
There are
just
sponsors' names under each art piece.
under each art piece.
Which,
So,
Do I have the map? I've seen the map, but I didn't know how you raise the money.
but we
Yeah,
went
that's how
out
we did
selling
it.
them. Margie sold most of them.
Huh?
each name represents $200.
$200.
Oh?
I have an extra.
Unless you lock the door.
We went around.
Margie was
selling
there.
these. This is Sally Presley paid for that one.
No, I didn't.
We also have not, we have not even tapped the commercial
No.
uses of this because we don't have it at most
Thank you.
hotels or commercial establishments, restaurants. We haven't done any of that because we've been very careful. We've been careful about how many we wanted to give out at once. So we know we're gonna have to go into another printing.
The policeman, my husband likes the policeman, isn't that one, Lori? Yeah.
I know, I've had two realtors ask me for them.
This time, we won't have to do all
Mary
the
Knox bought this
prep
one.
work. I mean, the plates are already available. It'll be a little cheaper, just the cost of paper pretty much in the press run.
What about the artwork? Caliente Indians?
Well, no, we won't be new artwork for just a quick reprint.
I think,
You can see here.
I think we can reprint this safely without, I mean, there are a couple of things I'd like to change, but I think we can reprint it safely without having to worry about adding new pieces. And then maybe by a year from now, if we have the new ICAP project or any new artwork that's in the city, like the golfer, when's that going to happen?
Soon. The golfers very soon, in the next couple months. I've been doing some research on actually having a specific map drawn for us, like with an aerial view. And there's a company who does those out of Canada, but they told me that they are actually planning to do Palm Springs in the next couple years. And so I don't know if we could if we wanted to help contribute to their costs, because he says it's like thousands of hours just to put one of these together. It's really quite a lot of work. And in order to get our artwork on there, I don't know what that would entail, but they're beautiful maps.
Well,
They're
this-
hand-drawn watercolor type of the whole city three-dimensionally.
Okay, so these are hand-drawn, because I have photographic, the maps that the city did.
Yeah, and I also checked on that, and we could have that done for $1,000. And we could actually pick a specific area, but that's just for the photograph, then you'd still have to have them printed.
Sure.
And I don't know how well that would show the artwork, from the air. I don't know.
Well, here again, it would show the location, and then you could just put them in.
Well, also,
Just I'm looking into that.
it's refreshing to have a map, an aerial map that doesn't have, a building out of proportion because they gave more money than somebody else. That's one of the nice things here. It's not commercial, it's accurate.
Well, I'm starting now because I know that this one took 2 years, so I'm looking now down for the next version. Get started on right away.
Well, I was just wondering whether we should offer them to the realtors. The real estate
We're
out-
giving them to anyone who calls and asks. We're not soliciting
Okay,
to give them
this is-
away, but
Okay. All right.
because they've already gone through 3 boxes at the visitor center in just less than 2 months.
And remember, they just wanted one to start with, and then they came back and asked for 4 more. Okay.
Well, I mean, if we wanted to approach it from a commercial standpoint, we could give out the other 20,000 in a week.
And actually, the historic site brochure, when it first came out, it was free, and they're now charging for it. So, we could consider that, too.
Any other further comments?
Well, I just was wondering whether out-of-state people, maybe we should charge?
Would you have to show your ID?
Yeah, no, I mean, if, companies from out of state who would want to give them to their customers.
Well, you're open a whole can of worms there. You've got the travel, your
I know.
party planners and travel planners and event coordinators. I mean, you could go crazy with this,
I
We
realize
can give
that.
8,000 away just for one convention.
Yeah, I realize that, but I'm just
Then we
thinking
would
about
really have to be
reprinting.
a commercial endeavor. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we can discuss that. When I bring it up tonight, that's one of the things. I mean, if we really want this to be dispersed on a wide basis, we don't have the ability to do that with just the ones we printed. We're gonna have to go into a reprint almost immediately if that were the case, and then we'd probably have
start
to do
charging for them.
another 50,000 and then start charging.
Well, I really think that economic development should be handling it.
Well,
We've done the work and let them
I
take
mean,
over.
I'll present it tonight and then see what council feels about it. And if they throw it back in our laps, we'll quit.
I just tell him that the fundraiser has quit.
That's right.
All right.
We've done our fundraising. We have one more fundraiser and, phew. Okay, the I-10 corridor.
Well, the wonderful designs that we got from Parsons Brinkerhoff are going to be, for Gene Autry, are going to be presented to council next Wednesday at the study session, so.
At study or?
Study session, just so, because they haven't seen them yet.
I know, but they can't vote on it.
No, it's no, well, they're just seeing it for review, because they haven't seen them.
It's interesting because the plans we saw today on this new Sunrise Center is derivative of the same feeling that we were so excited about for the.
And as are the entry signs that we
And the entry signs, they all, you know, it's not like we're trying to take over with the modern, but there's that emphasis that this is something very special and something that no other city in the valley can claim. So I think they'll probably like them. I can't imagine that they wouldn't like it. It also looks very much and ties in very much with the airport signage.
They're stunning.
They really are.
Stunning.
You'll all like it, public. Any other comments, questions? We know that that's going to next study session. ICAP, Miss Marjorie?
Really nothing further. See, keep not hitting that. Really nothing further. I just thought that we should have a request for proposals. I've gone back and looked at the park again, and I'm sure you have also, Tracy and Harry, and thinking about what could be done. But I really think that we should get some artists input
Well,
on
another thing
this.
too, and Leo can present it tonight, I think we need some input from the city council before we actually we can do a draft on a request for proposals, but we shouldn't be sending one out until we make sure that everyone likes the idea of that park and.
Well, then
Right.
I'll need some backup.
All right. I called Betty Kiley because I didn't know anything about Ruth Hardy, and of course Betty Kiley has been here for so many years, and she's my source, she and Tom. And apparently Ruth Hardy was a council person. I don't know whether she was mayor or not, but she was the lady who organized putting all the palm trees on 111 coming into town. And as they got the money together, they were put in. But this was her idea, and not the lighting, but the palm trees. And then Earl Neal's, you all remember Earl Neal's nursery, his father planted the trees then.
Well, maybe that should have something to do with what the art presentation is, relating to her palm tree thing, because that's pretty neat.
Yeah, but here again, I always try to get some homework, some background on these people before, but that's about it. No one seemed to know much about her, so this is why I called Betty.
I don't know how much collateral I'll need for this tonight. If we're asking for them for direction, the only thing
we have are the photographs
those
of the park,
photographs.
and I can bring those and I can give them to Rick, and he can put them up on the TV so
Well,
everyone can see.
I'd like to go over it one more time with you, because if you remember, I had to leave the room and come back, so I missed little pieces and parts of it.
The photographs, we took photographs of the playgrounds, and there were 3 different playgrounds, and all of this new equipment had been underwritten by the tent, the variety tent that's here locally. I think they put like $40,000 into each playground. And so there are 2 photographs of the playground, and those are along Caballeros. And then it shows one of the photographs shows the basketball court, and some kids with their dads are playing there. And of course the tennis courts are on the west side. And there are 2 large sets of tennis courts. And the restroom areas along just ahead.
West.
Yeah, and but here again, then there's a driveway, an access road that has parking, a lot of parking along the north side, which would be between the park and Catherine Finchie School. And
And there's the other, I don't know that access. The access I know is off of Tamarisk.
no, there's, yes, but there's also one off of Tamarisk. But we haven't, that's on the south side. Yeah, but there are two, there's lots of parking on that north end.
On the north side.
Yeah, yeah. That's right, yeah. And then we're looking at the corner of Merrill Est and Tamarisk. And,
Extending down, I think we talked about one time, like flags or something of that sort. I'm not gonna get that detailed.
No.
But just that that's what we're looking to do, is to create excitement at that corner, which would make it inviting as an entranceway to that park.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the big-
And Leona's mentioned that there had been a tree there, but we didn't see any.
No, there's nothing there now.
No, I know
No,
that,
no.
but I said there had,
20 years
Yeah,
ago.
it-
had been a tree.
It was structured for something. It was
Right.
originally set up for a focal point.
But
and
there's
has
no-
since gone away. I
Yeah,
mean,
but there's no water there. This is what we were looking
Well, but
for.
there's water just across in the park for the irrigation, just under the sidewalk, which is not a big deal. That's,
Well, I don't know that we necessarily will do something that needs water.
No,
I mean,
no,
it-
but I'm just saying, and then also the lighting, and Jean said that they had to bring in the generators for the Gordon Bennett balloon race because there was no access for any lighting for anything there.
Well, there
So-
were no plugs, you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there must be power because it runs the sprinkler system and
Sure,
timers and all
but the
that.
timers would be at another area, and,
But I think what I got from your presentation is that we wanted something that would be a welcoming
that's right.
corner, so an archway, something inviting that would draw people into the park. So I don't know that we have to worry about water, but we may have to worry about lighting at some point. And that, we need to be sensitive about that too, because you've got neighbors all around, and some people object to, lighting in the city is
tennis courts lit up just down from the corner.
On Merrill Est.
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
10.
and I think we even talked about having some kind of a smaller version of whatever we came up with at the other corner, the
Correct.
east corner.
Caballeros and
Tamarisk.
Tamarisk.
Yeah,
Right, and then bouncing it off with the parking lot and stuff.
but that is just a sign at the other end. That's all.
Sign and
Yeah, but we could maybe get something small relating. It could
Relating
still
to
be
the
a
other one.
sign, or it can be in addition to the sign that's there. Just somehow, whatever the artist comes up with, just be some element that could tie those two corners together,
True.
rather than having them be so different.
We could
Right.
actually, if you wanted to weigh it heavily one way or the other, you could also put the stronger piece at Caballeros, because that is a much more access street than Merrill Est. Merrill Est is very residential.
Yeah, the only difference on that is that particular corner, they've already put in cobble, or kind of a cobblestone sidewalk, and they've wrapped it around. There's been a lot of work done to that corner, and all that's sitting there is 2 rocks and some sand,
That's right.
So, I mean, you look at it and you go, like, what's missing here? It looks like something's
So
gone.
what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
yeah, the cougar. And
True.
Pedro, we could do something very dramatic at that corner. Because I use that, that's an access road for me a lot. And Caballeros and Merrill Est are like talking like Fifth Avenue and Elm Street. I mean, Caballeros is just loaded with traffic, whereas Merrill Est doesn't, because it dead ends.
Well, yeah, way down.
Well,
I
a
don't-
matter of about 3 or 4 blocks.
Well, but still, it's a shortcut.
There is a lot of traffic.
Yeah, it carries a lot of traffic. We use it as a shortcut.
So do I.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay, I'll let you know. I'll do the presentation this evening.
okay.
Any other comments? The 5-year plan. Anything to,
Sure, that was just in case anybody had any.
any added starters?
Seem to hit that. Reading these brochures that were included in our packet, which came from Houston, they had a forum, and I think all of you probably got it, and I was really interested in the way they presented it. They said that they were looking at public sites, draw people together, and also they were looking at monuments. And they felt that the charge of the artists were to bring to the city ideas, something that no one else would do. This was the charge of the artist, to gather facts from the city and incorporate them in the art pieces. And I wondered if you had gotten that feeling from this article also. If you read it, if you read about the forum.
The thing I liked about it was, one is talking about public places that are not centered on an actual art piece, but the place itself was art. And it was something that caused people to gather together and talk and speak. It's very effective in New York. If any of you are familiar in Manhattan, there's these wonderful little pocket parks. You'll be strolling down 55th or 56th Street, and then suddenly there's a little pocket park, and all that's in there is some water feature, some benches, and it's sort of like a respite from what goes on in the city. I don't know how effective that could be here, because we have so much cogitative space in the city that we don't need that breathing space. But I thought it was an interesting approach. That's the one that really turned me on. And then also the materials, like Margie said, some of the materials that are being used on some of these are things you would never even dream that you would use for an artistic endeavor.
I also like the poetry corner. That in LA. Wasn't that wonderful? And I thought, oh, this is, where could we locate one here in Palm Springs?
Next to the fountain.
We do need, we do need a couple of benches across from the fountain, because a lot of people would like to sit and watch the water.
There's only one, right? Yeah, there aren't very many. We need to. look
There's
at-
very little seating.
Yes, and but a number of people have asked me, how come we don't have any benches so we can watch the water?
Because they're supposed to sit in the amphitheater.
Yeah.
So that's kind
Other starters? Leona?
That wouldn't be a starter, because a
You
starter,
know, I
starter's
always say
legislative.
this, what about our plaque for the fallen policeman over there? And our plaque for the dog park? Is that kind of,
Oh, the little statue.
well, we were gonna have something on the fence, remember, that the fire department was going to give you,
Yeah, I still haven't gotten
some wording?
wording from them.
What about the fountain? I haven't looked, do we have a?
The plaques are up at the fountain.
Oh, they are up there, okay, I haven't walked around that. Do we have any money? Are we interested in putting any benches around the fountain? Is that our?
I don't think I think the city may have some, and I'll just see if they can move a couple over there.
Be
I'll
nice.
see, yeah.
Be nice to have a couple of trees to provide some shade and put the benches under a tree.
Gee, we haven't talked about that for almost 2 months. Okey dokes. Staff?
No reports.
Paula doesn't have anything to say?
Any comments? Reports, requests? Well, that's part of it. Looking into seeing what the bench situation is.
Do we need to adjust our November meeting date?
Yeah. Well, we'll either, I can't give you a specific time, so what you may want to do is go ahead and have the regularly scheduled meeting. I know I can't make that one, but Lori could conduct that meeting. Or if you want to try to postpone it to later in the month,
You have it earlier?
Would you want to have it earlier,
Sure,
before the 5th?
sure.
well,
Why not?
that would have,
Minutes done.
it would have to be on, let's see, the 5th is a Tuesday, so it would have to be in October.
The November meeting would have to be in October.
Yeah, because Monday's the 1st, and I don't think,
And it's already
No,
October.
Friday's the first.
Can we do it like the week before Thanksgiving?
4th is Monday.
no.
Yeah.
Oh, the 4th is
November 1st is
Monday.
a Friday and the 4th
4th
is
is
a Monday.
Monday, correct.
What
So-
about the 21st?
distract you if we had it on Monday the 4th.
You could have it on Tuesday.
Yeah, in the morning.
How
In the
about the week
afternoon.
before Thanksgiving?
Would that be the 21st?
Well, I don't know what my
Oh,
ability
yeah, yeah.
of being able to attend. I mean, I just don't know.
We could teleconference?
Maybe we should just
Yeah.
come to you.
Oh, all right.
okay.
Little TV camera.
Yeah, you're gonna sit around my house.
Sure, okay.
We could teleconference, wouldn't that be good?
Uh-huh. I'm.
Do you have a
how-
webcam?
Yeah, I do, as a matter of fact.
There you go.
It's not very flattering. I'm open to however you want to do it. If you want to just go ahead and leave it as it is, then Lori will conduct the meeting. I won't be able to be here. If you want to move it later in the month.
We'll have to have something, because the bench project is gonna have some pieces to be approved, and they wanna start painting around December 1st, so we're going to have a meeting.
Why don't we just have our regular meeting, have Lori
Yeah.
chair it?
Sure, why don't we do that?
Sounds fun.
Want to do that, Laurie?
You've got a couple of
You
weeks
should
to
way
get used to
down
the
there.
idea.
You can practice in front of the mirror.
We could, I mean, I don't, you have to be here though, don't you? I mean, there's no way you can plug me in on a cell phone or anything like that.
We could have
No.
a conference.
You can't like call in your vote or anything.
No,
You
I don't
can't do
think you
that.
can. I think
can't.
you have to physically be here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's our next meeting.
Well, just know that any legislative action that takes place when I'm not here is just not
Null and
valid
void.
unless I sign off on it.
Null and void.
It is the 14th, I believe.
It's the 14th.
I have it right here, November
And
14th,
and
2 o'clock.
maybe I'll go against all convention and I'll be here.
Monday.
You guys you remember when you were kids, you made the little lap chair?
Uh-huh.
Well, maybe two of you could do that for me and just,
I'm not strong enough.
who is?
Very you.
Any other comments, requests? This is your chance, guys.
Okay, are we going to have the 14th then? for our meeting?
Yeah, I think that was pretty much decided.
We'll do-
A question on going back on, can we revisit like the bench program? Or if they're not here, we can talk about it?
We can still talk
We can talk
about
about
Oh,
it,
good.
oh, sure.
You know, we were discussing it last time about the kids really being involved doing the painting.
Mm-hmm.
After I talked to quite a, artists and people that are actually involved in that. At one time, I thought that the main focus of it was the artist to do the rendition and the kids to actually paint the bench.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Okay, well, on some of these higher quality artists, it's real difficult to get these kids to paint in the style of those artists. What do we do in those situations? You remember how she was just saying that they're going for higher quality? And the reason I can really relate to this is because I talked to Hughesa. He goes, there's no way that the kids can paint my piece. I mean, he could stand there with holding the brush in their hand. They're not going to do it. I mean, what do we, you know?
Well, I don't know that
So I
we
kind of
don't
lost
we
sight of
don't
that.
care if the children paint them. We just want them to look nice. So I don't know how Jane feels about that.
Well, the one thing we did decide on is that we'd like to be able to credit the kids with having done these projects, and there's two ways you can do it. One is the kids are involved in the ones that they can be involved in. And
Yeah,
they'll
or
get
do
that credit.
background, or do an undercoating,
And the
or
ones-
They can
something
do the
like that.
undercoating,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, because
yeah,
I didn't
and-
know if I was getting misinterpreting.
You know, because I brought that up
things.
with Susie. I said the kids are still in
I
the
would
picture.
think.
Right.
Yes.
And we need to give them credit, because I don't know, I like that whole sound. I don't know how you guys feel, but I thought we liked the idea of being able to say on the benches that these benches were done by,
Right, and that's
Children.
how I was
Yeah,
feeding
we
into
did.
it too, and that's how the conversation was going and the discussion. But then when you start talking to some of these other artists that are kind of going up the level there, and what she was talking about was getting out of the area artists, that have name recognition. I mean, there's this real talent to paint. I mean, no matter how long he stands there and tells them what to do, it's not gonna come out what we're expecting. I mean, I can understand if we were doing the blocks, and okay, and,
Where are you pointing?
and pencil it off, and okay, and do this, and put the red here and the blue here and that. But when you start getting into like that one image that we have with the whole desert and the hill,
that's,
I mean, this is This is gonna take a major artist
Yeah.
that's gonna do that to
Well,
do it
maybe the
properly.
idea of priming it,
Priming, that's
et
what I
cetera,
thought.
or if there's somewhere on the back, if there's something that there can be an
You know,
area
and the
that-
kids can get a benefit of working with these artists
Well,
also,
the
you know.
educational part is a big
Right, they
aspect
get to
of it.
see what it's all about, you know.
So I think we sort of are covered on that, but I think you're right in bringing that up.
Okay, good.
And the artists, the request for proposals does mention that there will be a contact phone number on the plaque, and I think we had said we didn't want that, so. This
Didn't want-
was done way before, we had our discussion about it, so.
Well, and you brought up the fact, and I think we have to stick with our guns. The whole thing still has to tie in with what the contract wording is.
Weren't we going to ask for a sample of the plaque, the wording and the whole thing, like the
Well,
title?
we need to tell them what it's going to say, or if we have some specifics about it. And one thing that I'm in the process of writing right now is, I think we discussed it should say the artist's name,
The name
the
of the
name of the
piece?
piece, the name of the project. I'm not sure if it really has a name. If it's Children's Bench Project or Paint the Bench, I mean, maybe they need to come up with a name, so we can say that first, which kind of explains it. And,
idea.
That's not on the plaque.
And then the
Well, no,
sponsor's name.
I
It
think
would
it's
be
the
on the
Palm
plaque.
Springs Street Art Bench Project is the name she has on the brochure.
Mhm. And so we need to find out for sure if that's the real title, or if they want to change that, or, and add children somehow into it.
We said very small, the sponsor who puts up the money. But very small.
Sponsored by, yeah.
Yeah, I think all of that, well, like on the map, that was very tastefully done,
Mm-hmm.
the sponsorships.
Right, not commercial.
Yeah, I was impressed with that, because as I remember, we were writing down what we wanted it to say, and you boiled it down to one sentence. I thought that was
Duran
great.
Jones did that. He
Oh,
did that.
that was wonderful.
And David Aiken.
Well, I love this. So-and-so is proud to sponsor, a
And then they
proud
varied it a
sponsor
little
of
bit.
art in
They
public
varied
places.
it a little.
Sure.
Is proud to sponsor historic site preservation. Yeah, I think that's nice.
I'm really trying, no, everyone seemed to be very pleased, and, the ones that I handed out.
Well, I think what goes in that contract is gonna be the key to the whole thing. I mean, it just has to be spelled out, signed off on, and then there won't be any changes, any derivate.
Well, I'm putting in there that we approve what's on the plaque, so we'll get to see it.
Good. Any other comments?
Very productive meeting.
Was a good meeting. Okay, guys.
Can't show you, have to kill you.
It's not for public consumption.
It's the girl in the martini glass.
I'll do my best to be here on the 14th. If not, you will be in very capable hands. And I know she'll be here on time and with a gavel in her hand. Thank you all for your rapt attention. It was a good meeting. We got a lot done today. I'm very excited about the Sunrise Project. I think that's,
Oh, I'm
Great
too.
project.
Motion
Really?
to
I
adjourn.
move that we adjourn the meeting.
adjourn.
Beth got it. Beth said it first.
all in favor?
Marjorie said it.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.